So guys, welcome back or welcome to the channel.
Welcome to the channel.
I'm Rodney.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Not Easily Broken. So guys, we was having a conversation about the scripture in Genesis 2:24 where it says, I'm gonna get it. It says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. What does that mean?
What does it mean to be one flesh?
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
So, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now, how do you become one flesh? That's first foremost. Well, first off, what does it mean to cleave?
Yeah. And leave.
And leave, yes.
Yeah.
I think this is the problem in a lot of our marriages, especially starting off, not understanding what this scripture means.
Yeah. Yeah, to cleave means you're supposed to hang on to each other.
To hold on, yes.
And then to leave, that means that's the old way of doing things. That's your old life. Now you have this new life with your new spouse.
Yes.
And what does that look like? How does that play out in relationships? That's the hard part.
Yeah, because you're leaving a family and now you're supposed to cleave. Hold on to your wife and start a new family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we tell our kids what works for us may not work for you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we never left.
Yeah, we forget about that.
We never leave because my wife is doing things. I'm like, well, that ain't how my mama do it.
And how many wives have heard that?
Yeah.
And then what's our response? Well, I'm not your mama.
Right. You know, and so we still have never left.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know it. We're sitting up there. I'm like, hey, I like my chicken done this way. I like my mac and cheese. My mama do it this way. Well, go live with your mama.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you never leave. But we're supposed to leave those things behind. Hang on to our wives, right? Cleave to our wives, and we're supposed to start our own family, our own way of doing things, things that works for the both of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is how we're supposed to do it. So let's get into some of the things that we went through. And listen, if we can help some of you guys avoid some of the things that we went to, because we didn't know. We didn't understand the scripture at the time. Yeah. We was in church, but we really didn't understand what it means. I think a lot of people, when they first get married, don't really understand the leaving and cleaving part.
Because nobody really talks to you about that. They don't talk to you about that. I mean, we know what it says, but nobody says this is what it means and this is what it looks like in your practical life.
Yes.
So we ready to tell our stories?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, because we've already shared some of it in past videos.
A few things stand out. I remember whole chickens. You remember the whole chicken thing? And I was like, I don't know how to cut chicken.
Oh.
And I'm not cutting no whole chicken. I'm going to buy pieces of chicken.
Yeah.
And you was like, well, my mom cut up the whole chicken. And I was like, well, I don't know how to cut a whole chicken. So I'm going to keep buying pieces of chicken. It's so funny. And that's like a little thing, like something simple, but that's how he grew up. Well, my mother didn't grow up. I didn't grow up with my mother cutting chicken. So we brought thighs and legs and wings and separately, and that's what we did. But for him, his mom would buy the whole chicken, and she would cut up the chicken. Mm-hmm. So eventually, I think you started doing it. Yeah. So I would buy the whole chicken because I was always been like a bargain shopper. So I would find chicken on sale. We had 4 kids, so of course, I was couponing and just all those things, to make the dollar stretch. So I would buy the whole chickens when they was on sale, and then he would cut up the chicken.
And I didn't know how to cut up no chicken. I said my mama cut up the chicken. So I'm asking my mother, how you cut a chicken? Again, I have not left. Yeah. This clearly doesn't work for us. Yeah, that works for my mother. My mother's a country girl. She's a country girl from Louisiana. I am not. Yeah. So that's what they did. That's what she's used to. We were both raised in the city. Yeah. So.
And another thing I remember when Joshua was born, the cloth diapers. Oh. And I was like, I was like, oh yeah, at that time when my son was born, diaper services was a big thing. People did diaper service. And so I was all excited, like, oh yeah, I want to use cloth diapers and I'm going to get the diaper service. And he was like, we don't need no diaper service. My mama washed the diapers in the washing machine. And I said, well, I ain't putting them diapers in my washing machine. So either we're going to get a diaper service or we using Pampers. It's funny now, like thinking back, it's like, that is ridiculous. So we use Pampers because I wasn't putting them diapers in my washing machine where I was washing the rest of my clothes. Yeah. So that was just me. Probably nothing wrong with it, but that's how I felt about it.
No, there's something wrong with it. Because I wasn't going to do it.
But he wanted me to do it.
I wanted her to do it. But, it's just little differences like that. Yeah. That can cause wedges in your relationship.
Yeah, seriously.
And you start seeing that person as the opposition. Yeah. And see, now I'm not cleaving because I'm looking at her like side eye kind of, like, hey,
like,
but she is not my mother. Yeah.
And I was raised in a different household.
Yeah, raised in a different household.
And we did things differently, and so...
Not wrong. Different.
Yeah, different. Exactly. Yeah. So it wasn't like, my mom did certain things and I was used to certain things, but I didn't do some of the things that his mom did. And so I was like, well, what's the big deal?
Yeah. And so you either continue to get further and further apart, or you begin to work on those things to bring you guys closer together that you can become one. Yeah. And I think at some point we stop looking at each other's differences as opposition, but as something that completes us. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Because we have 2 perspectives on things. Mm-hmm. I may have a certain way of doing things, and then she have another perspective, and the 2 minds together completes us, because I could be seeing something that's not really it, and she can help me to see something better, and vice versa. Yeah. And so when we learn to accept each other's differences and stop looking at opposition, we started becoming one. We start cleaving more and weaving. Yeah. To become more of one unit. And listen, it's no magic pill or nothing you can do. It just takes time.
It just happens over time.
Yeah, it happens over time. I mean, of course, when you get married, you stand before God and your friends and you become one. But the truth is you're still thinking individually.
And operating individually. In a lot of cases.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're not really one, but that takes time to do that.
Yeah, I think that it's learning that you chose this person, or you allow God to choose this person for you, and you have to trust that the differences that you have will complement each other. Absolutely. And I think that a lot of us, we were young when we got married too, And a lot of us go into marriage thinking, oh, it's going to be all this. It's just going to be, this person is going to just understand me so well. And, they're going to know, they're going to be able to complete my sentences. And I was laughing about that this morning because I said, we actually do that now.
Yeah.
But all these years later, like in the beginning, we wasn't doing that. I would say something and he's like, what? Or he would say something and I'm like, what? Like, it wasn't making sense, because that's not the way I think or that's not the way he thinks. Going back to, we talked about communication, that was a big thing for us was the way we communicated was so different, In my family, we talked about things and I'm an only child, so I didn't have siblings and all of that. It was me and my mom or me and my dad. And so we were easier, I think, to be able to discuss things, when something was wrong because it was just me.
Yeah.
And his family dynamics was different. And so I had to learn to allow him to have the space he needed. And then he had to learn to, okay, but I got to come back and we got to talk about it. And so it's just learning. Like, it's not wrong. Like you said, it's not a right or wrong. Like, my way is the right way, your way is the wrong way. It's just we have a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
And now we can say, oh, yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
Right.
Instead of like, well, you always going against me or why you don't never see it my way,
Right.
Like it is when you younger. And everybody doesn't go through that. But I will say, Rodney and I both have very strong personalities. We have very strong personalities. I mean, people that believe in astrological signs and stuff like that, when they find out our birthdays, and both of our birthdays are in August, we are 17 days apart, and people are like, oh, you guys are both Leos. How do y'all make that work? And we like, but we do. Well, first of all, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. And so it doesn't govern our relationship, but people say that to us all the time and have for years. Like, how do y'all make it work? Y'all both this same sign.
Right.
So we know that y'all both have really strong personalities, and we do, but it has become a benefit that we both have strong personalities, because when we need to be strong against something, we do it together now. Whereas in the past, when we was younger, we didn't. We would like, oh, it got to be this way, or oh, it got to be this. It's like folding towels. Like, it's more than one way to fold a towel. Like, if they all going in the cabinet door going to be shut. Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, who cares if you fold it in 3s or you fold it in 4s or, but in the beginning of your marriage, a lot of people argue about stupid stuff like that. Like, people always talk about the bathroom, the toilet seat up or down. That's a thing. And then the toothpaste, like how you squeeze the toothpaste. Do you squeeze the toothpaste from the middle or you squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom? Like, people argue over things like that because those are differences.
Yeah. I mean, one of the differences, and we talked about it earlier, was the bath mat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because like I said, I grew up in a household. The bath mat is for getting out and stepping on the bath mat, and you dry yourself off on the bath mat. She didn't grow up like that. No. You dry yourself off in the tub.
Yeah. Who wants to step on a wet bath mat?
Then you step on the bath mat. So that was a clear indication that was not going to work for our marriage, because I brought something from my old life.
Yeah.
And she had something from her whole life, and they clearly was clashing. Yeah. So we had to do what works for us. So now it's not a big deal. I dry myself off. I adapted to what she do, and I even went a step further. I dry myself off in the tub, and I still don't step on the bath mat. I put a towel down. I step on the tile and dry my feet good before I step on the bath mat. So, I mean, it wasn't worth to keep fighting. It's a bath mat, guys.
And that's an example, too, of compromise. Yeah. Like, to me, it was important. And then he had to decide, well, is it really that important to me that I step on the mat or I dry in the tub? Like, what's more important to me? And vice versa. There have been some things, Rodney loved breakfast. Yes. And his thing was, like I like to cook, and I don't like to cook anymore, but I used to like to cook. But I liked cooking dinner. I would find recipes. You remember I used to have these books and cards and all kind of stuff, and I would try different stuff. I like cooking dinner, but he wanted me to cook breakfast, and I didn't want to cook breakfast. I grew up eating cereal and oatmeal. That's what I grew up eating for breakfast. I had dry cereal, or not dry cereal, but cold cereal, and them instant Quaker instant packets of oatmeal. That's what I ate for breakfast. Yeah. When I was at my daddy's house, he would go to McDonald's or he would go buy donuts. I wasn't used to the breakfast thing, but his mom would get up and cook breakfast. She making bacon and eggs and grits and smothered potatoes and all that stuff. You know, toast, and you know she doing all that. I didn't grow up like that, so it was a big deal to him, and he would be like, "But I just want you like." We had some really like some hard feelings for a little while.
Yeah, we did.
Against
we did, and it all goes back to not understanding what the scripture says, because I'm still stuck in my mama's house.
Yeah.
You know, Michelle, that's not even fair to her.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother is a Louisiana country girl. That's what they do. They cook, and my mother's been cooking from scratch since she was about 8 years old. She was cooking whole dinners. Mm-hmm. So that's just what she did. She loved to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was really unfair for me to think that Michelle was going to be like that, but that's what I wanted because I hadn't left.
Yeah. And I would cook dinner, but I
moved out, but I didn't leave.
I just wasn't I didn't do breakfast. Yeah. I don't even think, like, it took me a long time where I feel like I don't even know how to cook bacon right. Like I knew how to cook bacon, but I feel like I always burn it or whatever.
And so the compromise is that she does cook breakfast. Not every day, but sometimes. Now it's mostly me. So when I want breakfast, I just cook it.
Yeah, and I started like doing it for special occasions.
Yeah. Like
I would okay, this is a special occasion. Let me suck it up and go in there and cook breakfast. Yeah. So I think I started doing it for special occasions, not all the time, but just for special occasions.
Like Christmas.
Is that Nah, you gonna be on the grill, on that outdoor griddle this Christmas. We already talked about that. But anyway, I would do it for like Father's Day, because at one time, early in our relationship, Rodney worked at night. Mm-hmm. And, I would do it, for Father's Day and, things like that. Bring them food. But yeah, I just wasn't a breakfast cooker.
Yeah, so basically, guys, what we're saying in a nutshell is understand what the scriptures say if you're believers. Mm-hmm. But whether you're a believer or not, you have to do what works for the two of you. Yeah. Because you have left one family and now you're creating your own family. You got to do what works for you and your family. Yeah.
Because like he said, it's unfair. Yeah. It's unfair for me to have this standard of, well, my father was like this, so this is what a man is supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And then I'm holding him to this standard that, first of all, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that I'm holding him to this standard. And second of all, it's not fair if that's, those things that he didn't learn or he didn't know or, he didn't know that's what I expected of him. And so it's not fair. Yeah. It's not fair. And who wants to be compared to somebody else? Nobody wants that. We all do the best we can. And, obviously I'm with him because I love him, and so I want to do things that he likes and appreciates. And I want to, be part of the source of joy for him. I can't make him happy, but I want to be a part of that, and so who wants to know that whatever I do, if I'm not checking off these boxes that his mom did or his family of origin, then I'm not measuring up. Nobody wants to live like that, and like you said, it's not fair.
It's not fair. And so now, once you get past all those things and you learn to appreciate each other's differences, now the weaving coming, the becoming one. Yeah. Because now we're more one than we ever been in our lives.
Yeah.
Right, like you said, we're completing each other's sentences. You know, it's
Yeah.
if you see her, you usually see me.
Yeah.
We always together. It's not even something that we think about.
Right.
It's not something that we purposely do. That's just what it is.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like you don't become Rodney and Michelle. It's Rodney and Michelle,
Yeah.
or Michelle and Rodney.
Right.
Like if they see one, and you know, one of my cousins said that. He's like, oh, I see you guys, like, you know, my aunt and uncle who was always together. They was married for many, many years. You saw one, you saw the other. You never saw them apart, pretty much. And he was like, yeah, I see you guys like that now. Like, if I see you, I know I'm going to see him. If I see him, I know I'm going to see you. Yeah. It's funny, Rodney used to say he was Michelle's husband.
Yeah.
At church.
Yeah. And that's true.
And now I'm Rodney's wife.
Yeah. So guys, we just want to come to you real quickly and just share that with you. It's just something we was discussing as we was reading the scripture, and we thought, I mean, you know, that's perfect. I mean, because we don't really talk about it. We hear it, we read it, but what does that really mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean? So we hope that helps somebody.
Yeah. So today, choose to leave and cleave to your spouse.
Yeah.
Create your own memories,
Yes.
create your own family dynamics, create your own situation, what works for you. Don't worry about what your family did, what her family did. Do what works the best for you, because then you're going to be happy and fulfilled in your relationship.
Yeah.
And that's God's desire for us.
Yeah.
Marriage should be a good thing.
And leave them in-laws out your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we invite them in, and you know how that goes.
Thankfully, we never had that
We
problem.
never had that problem. You know, my
Thankfully,
mother and her parents, they let us do our own thing as far as work out our own problems. They never got involved like that, so we're thankful for that. But that's gonna do it for today's video, guys.
Yep.
We hope it.
Short and sweet.
Yep. Hopefully it helps you, it inspires you, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will know when we upload our new video.
Yep.
All right.
All right,
take care.
guys.
Bye.